You know, when I'm home, I don't listen to music because I spend so much time writing it. And I just listen to the sounds around me. Like I'm listening to these sounds too now, even though we're talking. But when there's one of these festivals, I go, as you may have noticed, I go religiously to every single concert. It's my one opportunity to hear music. And for the most part, I enjoy everything. Last night I was, I didn't really enjoy the Branca piece. It wasn't because it was so loud, because I can put up with the loudness. But I felt negatively about what seemed to me to be the political implications. I wouldn't want to live in a society like that, in which someone would be requiring other people to do such an intense thing together. I've been thinking more about it today, but I really didn't like the experience. But as I think about it, I become more open to it. Not that I would embrace it, but at least I wouldn't forbid it. But this shows how wide and how changed our notion of composition is. Well, I have some difficulty with it. The Branca is an example of sheer determination of one person to be followed by the others. Even if you couldn't hear, you could see the situation. That is not a shepherd taking care of the sheep, but of a leader insisting that people agree with him, giving them no freedom whatsoever. The only breath of fresh air that comes is when the technology collapses. The amplifier broke. That was the one moment of freedom from the intention. But the moment that it was reinstated, the intention resumed.
But what is the difference? I mean, you also have always determined the goals. Even if you said it's going to be a non-goal for me, then it's also a determination that you have thought before you wrote the piece. That you defined your non-goal as goal also.
No, that's a misuse of the language. If you say that a non-goal is a goal, then you're using the language to defeat the language, to defeat the mind. If I can't say non-goal and mean non-goal, instead of meaning goal again, then the language is of no use. I have a different attitude toward life than he is expressing. It's not the same. But we can both live. I don't think, though, that that the image of that power and intention and determination would make a society that I would want to continue living in. But you like it, so I would like to hear more what is good about it. Would you want to live in such a society? I can't imagine wanting to live in such a society. It reminded, say it was good intentions that he was expressing with vehemence and power. It would be like one of these strange religious organizations that we hear about. Wouldn't it? It would resemble that. Or if it was something political, it would resemble fascism. In neither case would I want to be part of it. I much prefer the thinking of sorrow, of anarchy, of freedom from such intention. That's how I feel. And I don't think by any means, any conceivable means, that Branca is a step in front of anything. He may be popular at the moment, but popularity is nothing. Because what is popular now is not popular tomorrow. All of those things change. Nothing is more fickle than popularity.
But it will never become popular music, this music.
It won't, but I thought in the program it says it is popular, that he's a star and very successful. Didn't you just say that?
He's less successful than you are.
I don't know what that means. I don't know how successful I am. What I'm doing now is trying to find the next piece which I'm to write, and so far I haven't succeeded. The music which he played last night was not written.
Yes.
No one was reading anything.
Yes, they had stands, music stands with music.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, everybody had a stand. It is written music.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't see any music. Really? I must ask some other people. I must say I didn't see it. David Tudor's music now has to have David Tudor with it, otherwise it doesn't get played. And I think Branca is the same way. It has to have Branca. Laurie Anderson has to have Laurie Anderson. My music is quite different. I don't have to be present.
There has been a time also in which composers said and wanted to stay as close as possible with their own music.
Like the troubadours of the Middle Ages. Well, that's what these people are like. It's a return to the Middle Ages. But with the use of modern technology. In fact, it's the modern technology that makes it Moyen Âge. Because they make circuits and so forth, upon which they become habitually dependent. And if the circuits don't work, don't function, the music collapses. It's very different from writing a music which can be used by a stranger, someone you don't know. Or at least you cut the, what's it called, the cord that connects us to the mother.
In Flemish it's called the navelstreng.
Yes, at least to cut that. There was a beautiful remark by Margaret Mead. Do you know her name? I knew her, and she said that now that we live longer than we did, that there's no reason why we should continue doing the same thing all the time. That we could change more than we thought was proper before. I always try to find something new.
The idea of newness
interests me, yes. And if you want to say then that always wanting something new is the same thing all the time, then again you're not using the language properly.
You were one step before me now.
But weren't you going to go there?
I won't tell you.
At least you opened the door toward that idea. I wouldn't mind becoming open to them. And that's why I say every now and then, can you tell me what it is that really interests you about it?
It has to do with non-communication.
Just being? You mean being one thing, making one sound, and not saying anything? But why the insistence?
It's like a scream.
Is it in opposition to the environment? Is it a scream about something, or no?
No, I don't think so.
It's just a scream.
Yeah. It's hopeless.
Hopeless? You mean because it's an end in itself?
Yeah, it's only about energies. It's an accumulation of energies without content, without dialectics in it, without communication, without feedback. It's very libidinal.
What does that mean? Oh,
The
through
libido.
full of desire?
Yeah.
Well, then it is dialectic, because desire is for something other than itself. Is it erotic?
I say yes.
But not with regard to anything loved, just with regard to itself?
Probably.
Then it's purely narcissistic.
Yes.
Then of what use is it?
It's probably useless. Why?
Then how can you like it if it's useless? Or how can you use it if it's useless? I find it then terrifying. But you don't. My knees were weak last night after that experience. I had trouble standing. At the same time that I didn't want to sit down. It's like a reflection of the sunshine on the building or something. I mean, when the sun is very bright and hits your eye by hitting a building in a particular angle, and you see a bright light coming to something like that.
were talking about the difference between using power and intelligence in music.
Yes. And the relation to the 21st century. If we follow the example of Branca, I doubt whether we would have such a century, because no intelligence is suggested, only power and energy. We would more quickly, by those means, end ourselves even in the 20th century than get to the 21st. That's the sort of thing we're doing, actually. If I say not by we now, the nations. I think we need a calmer use of our faculties. One of the things I dislike most about European music is the presence of climaxes. And what I see in Branca, as in Wagner, is a sustained climax. It also suggests that what is not it is not climactic. One of the principal statements that, for me in Zen Buddhism is Nichi Nichi Kare Konichi. Every day is a beautiful day. To be able to move one's attention and from one point to another without feeling that one had left something important behind is the feeling which I enjoy having and which I hope to give to others. So that each person can place his attention originally rather than in a compelled way or in a constrained way. So that each person is in charge of himself.
With a piece like Indeterminate Activity of Resultant Masses, which is the piece that Cage hated, it kind of developed from there. I saw that I was in a position where I could do absolutely anything I wanted. I just kept pushing it. I pushed it and pushed it and pushed it and pushed it to the point of no return. It was a festival in Chicago I was invited to play. And Cage had stated it was his birthday party. He made the mistake of coming to my concert. And he said he couldn't sit down at the same time that he didn't want to stand up. He said that he was shaking. He said the music made him afraid. He went on and on and on and on about it. What happened is that the day after the concert, there was a symposium of composers and Cage started off the symposium by giving a 10-minute critique of my piece after he had just seen like 200 pieces. He chose me to crucify. He said everything about my music is what is wrong with music.
When I hear what we call music, it seems to me that someone is talking, and talking about his feelings or about his ideas of relationships. But when I hear traffic, the sound of traffic here on 6th Avenue, for instance, I don't have the feeling that anyone is talking. I have the feeling that sound is acting. And I love the activity of sound. What it does is it gets louder and quieter, and it gets higher and lower, and it gets longer and shorter. It does all those things which I'm completely satisfied with that. I don't need sound to talk to me. We don't see much difference between time and space. We don't know where one begins and the other stops. So that most of the arts we think of as being in time, and most of the arts we think of as being in space. Marcel Duchamp, for instance, began thinking of thinking of music as being not a time art, but a space art. And he made it a piece called Sculpture Musicale, which means different sounds coming from different places and lasting, producing a sculpture which is sonorous and which remains. People expect listening to be more than listening. And so sometimes they speak of inner listening, or the meaning of sound. When I talk about music, it finally comes to people's minds that I'm talking about sound that doesn't mean anything, that is not inner, but is just outer. And they say, these people who understand that finally say, you mean it's just sounds? Thinking that for something to just be a sound is to be useless. Whereas I love sounds just as they are. And I have no need for them to be anything more than what they are. I don't want them to be psychological. I don't want a sound to pretend that it's a bucket, or that it's a president, or that it's in love with another sound. I just want it to be a sound. And I'm not so stupid either. There was a German philosopher who's very well known, Immanuel Kant, and he said there are two things that don't have to mean anything. One is music, and the other is laughter. Don't have to mean anything, that is, in order to give us very deep pleasure. You know that, don't you? The sound experience, which I prefer to all others, is the experience of silence. And the silence almost everywhere in the world now is traffic. If you listen to Beethoven or to Mozart, you see that they're always the same. But if you listen to traffic, you see it's always different.